The following is a presentation of the Broadband Universe, brought to you in part by Vitruvi, the end-to-end GIS-based construction management platform that connects asset owners, operators, general contractors, and subcontractors for unmatched project control and collaboration. Manage every aspect of your telecommunications or utility infrastructure construction program with Vitruvi. Build faster, reduce costs, improve quality. Book your demo today on vitruvisoftware.com to see how we can help you build at scale. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Broadband Universe podcast. I'm Craig Corbin, and it is a pleasure to welcome my guests today, Mr. Brian Moon, CEO of the Pacific Telecommunications Council, and Mr. Gary Kim, Principal of IP Carrier and a veteran digital infrastructure analyst and PTC conference advisor. Gentlemen, welcome to the Broadband Universe.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Craig.
Absolutely. This is an important time. We are days away from the biggest event on the PTC calendar, PTC 23. As I understand it, gentlemen, this shapes up to be the largest event in the 45-year history of this conference. More than 5,000 attendees, better than 200 speakers. This sounds like a phenomenal event, and we've got a lot to talk about with regard to that. Before we get into the specifics, for those who might not be aware of the background of PTC, what is that organization all about?
Well, the PTC actually is an organization that's been established for more than 40 years. It was established in 1979. We're based here in Honolulu on the island of Oahu. And we're a nonprofit association. And I think that's really important, Craig, because everything that we receive in terms of resources are reinvested right back into the industry. And that's extremely important for us. And so as a nonprofit trade association, we represent the 40 plus nations that make up the Pacific Rim. But in addition to that, we actually are a global organization. So although the name suggests that we are only focused on the Pacific Rim, we actually have members, over 300 that are located all around the world. Initially, the organization was brought together to bring the industry, academics, governments together to have a platform to do business and to exchange policies. And now it's grown into a major business event that drives a lot of the business initiatives for our member companies for the rest of the year.
To say that it's a major event would be an understatement. And, of course, I would be remiss if I did not say that you are in the first 100-plus days of your role as the Chief Executive Officer there at PTC, and I guess appointed officially as of October 1st last year following that global search. I know it's been a whirlwind. Quickly, what's it been like for the last couple of months?
Well, I will say, it's folks like Gary, volunteers like Gary, and other leadership as part of our Board of Governors and Advisory Council have made this the most, and I mean this sincerely, probably the most smoothest transition period I think any executive would have asked for. When I was talking to the leadership about the position, they made it very clear that this is a very passionate organization. It's made up of very passionate and thoughtful members, leadership and volunteers. And so again, folks like Gary have been very, very welcoming. And I think that's part of the sort of the aloha spirit, right, of here being in Honolulu and introducing me and welcoming me. And obviously the Secretariat, as part of my team, has been very accommodating and welcoming as well.
That is fantastic. And Gary, with your background as a veteran communications industry analyst, going on 4 decades now, a ranked power influencer in mobile and among the top 10 telecom thought leaders around the world. Obviously, this event is something that you have been very involved in as an advisor for many years. What's it been like to be a part of PTC in that role?
Change, and more change. I mean, the thing that people forget, and for guys like me who are really a little long in the tooth now, PTC was founded at a time when, except for the governments of the world, it was literally illegal to be in the telecom business. You couldn't do it, right? Younger people don't understand this. PTC was founded about 3 years after Apple Computer in a garage. The IBM PC had not been invented. The internet had not been invented. Mobile phone use was globally about 0.04 of 1%. So nobody had a cell phone. You didn't know a person who had a cell phone.
Right.
And Netscape, the first web browser, didn't get released until 1994. So you're talking about 15 years before the modern world as we know it. So when you talk about change, we're talking Stone Age to rockets, right? And that, Brian's really driving us to keep on the forefront of that kind of a change, because it's really been a ride.
Well, and that is an understatement as well. We talk about the PTC fostering academic, developmental, regulatory, and legal perspectives. And when we talk about being able to help organize the Pacific Rim's premier telecom event, that's a big part of service to the members of the Pacific Telecommunications Council. And I know that is something that has brought about very positive change for so many of the members over the years. Gary, from your perspective, what has been the greatest positive impact that the organization has meant for the regions that it serves?
Well, you have to, again, go back into the time machine. PTC was founded by academics out of the East-West Center at the University of Hawaii. So their perspective, and again, the world was the sort of world where government ministers were the heads of the telecom companies. So they approach everything as you got to convince the regulators to do things. They're the owners of all the assets. Now in today's world, private companies are really the people who build the internet. So if you look at the companies who are at our meeting, it's Meta, it's Google, it's Apple, it's every major data center in the world. It's the small ones as well. All of the people who have all the networks of optical fiber under the sea that actually enable us to communicate as we are right now. So, it's a huge, huge change, profoundly important, and it touches the lives of almost every human being on the planet now.
And that is something that is so important. I know one of the themes is that the conference is the global conference that connects the world. And what you just mentioned is a great example of that. When we talk about having more than 200 speakers, Brian, that's an agenda that is extremely robust, many panels for discussion. From your perspective, what are the highlights that we should begin looking for on the agenda for PTC 23?
Well, Craig, I think you hit the nail on the head at the top of the call. Is we're on track for a record-breaking event. And I think that is partly due to pent-up demand. Obviously, many of us have been kind of in this world over the past couple of years, and so we're looking to come back in person. The other reason, and I think a big part of it, is there's a lot of change happening, as Gary touched on. I mean, our industry is changing every single hour or day, you could argue. And so there's so much technology and business to be discussed amongst our member companies and our business community that they're eager to get back together, and there's pent-up demand to get back together and meet at an industry event to start moving forward all of these initiatives that we've been talking about over the past couple of years.
And that's the perfect segue from the standpoint of talking about not only the planning opportunities that will be available to all those attending, but the networking opportunities, the ability to shake hands with the colleagues that you haven't been able to visit with for an extended period of time. Gary, from your perspective, what's the benefit there?
Well, basically, most of the people who come to PTC who are on the business side will tell you that it's January, it's relaxed because it's Honolulu, and what people are hoping to do is set up the deals that they expect to sign later in the year. So it's a really important business networking opportunity. And again, if you assume that the guys who come to this meeting are building the internet, building the applications and supplying them, getting them directly to people all over the planet, that's really important. They may see it as business to business development and revenue flows, but it really affects our ability to get services and value to people all over the planet.
You're watching the Broadband Universe podcast, brought to you by Lit Communities. Light up your community. You deserve better internet. By Vetro FiberMap. Radically simpler fiber management, and by Vitruvi, build faster, reduce costs, and improve quality. My guests today, Brian Moon, the Chief Executive Officer of the Pacific Telecommunications Council, and Gary Kim, the Principal of IP Carrier and a veteran digital infrastructure analyst and PTC conference advisor. And gentlemen, when we begin to look at how the conference will flow, 4 days, action-packed agenda, and one of the things that is always perhaps a hurdle for folks is being in the right place at the right time, because there is so much to absorb. Brian, from your perspective, how is it all going to be laid out?
So the conference itself will take on the model that we've had the past several years, and that is 4 days of just interactions, networking, conference sessions, leadership opportunities. But one tool that I will promote and want to share with everyone that, and we are taking advantage of things like the mobile app. Like you said, Craig, it's hard to try and be at the right place at the right time. So we are putting some technology in place, and we've had the mobile app before, but we're making it even more user-friendly. To have a schedule in place to make sure that people can connect with each other and meet when they can. But in terms of the conference itself, I mean, we're really, really excited about it. We have over 65 conference sessions that are laid out. We're going to be touching on every single one of the hot topics in the industry right now. We have a young professionals program that I think we'll touch on in a few minutes as well. And then we've got some very, very exciting featured speakers. And again, this is in addition to all of the business and networking opportunities that we've laid out.
What you mentioned just a moment ago, Brian, with respect to the young professionals, obviously one of the things that is extremely important now in the industry, given the phenomenal explosive growth that we are on the cusp of the next 5-10 years. Talk about what we will see in that regard at PTC 23.
So the new initiative, and we're really excited about it, it's called PTC Beyond, and we have several industry professionals that have helped build this program together. So PTC Beyond is going to be bringing the next generation of industry professionals to PTC. What we're doing, we've set up a complete comprehensive program for them to have networking opportunities, education opportunities, mentorship opportunities, and a workshop as well. And so in this, we've also introduced a BOGO program, so a buy one, get one free program, where we're actually encouraging our member companies to invite a young professional from their organizations to attend PTC for free. And so we're really, really excited about it. And we're going to be talking about it for many, many years to come. And as you started to mention there, our industry is growing so rapidly, and there are so many young professionals that are up and coming, these rising stars that we want to make sure have an opportunity to be part of PTC, but be part of this industry and grow together.
Well, that is an innovative approach, a transformative way to encourage that next generation of communications professionals in an unbelievable setting. And we talk about the diversity of the member organizations within PTC. And Gary, from your perspective, talk about how that diversity really makes a huge opportunity for attendees of this conference.
Well, it's one of the few conferences where if you just walk down the aisle, you're going to bump into an awful lot of CXOs. Now, most conferences that you go to, big GSMA in Barcelona or CES, where Brian used to work, you walk down the hall and you'll be mobbed by human beings, but you're not going to see that many CXOs. It's normal at PTC for you to be sitting, having a Mai Tai, and 3 CXOs walk right by and sit down. I mean, the scale is so intimate compared to any other trade show I've ever been to, that I think that's one of the values of it. The place is really a chance to get face-to-face with people you wouldn't otherwise see.
I think one of the metrics that I saw in preparing for this conversation was I think 88% fall into that category that you just mentioned. That is a humongous percentage of the attendees and tremendous value for those who are there. One of the other things, Gary, that I did want to touch on that is so important, I believe, in looking at the agenda are the 2 digital infrastructure partners platform sessions. And I know you'll be moderating the second of those conversations. There'll be one held on Monday, one on Tuesday, if memory serves. Talk about what we will see there.
Okay, so PTC's really always been known as a place where the people who operate networks buy and sell to each other. Obviously, no single network in the world reaches everywhere on the globe. So if you want to get your data moved to some place where you don't have a network, you've got to have a partner who can sell you capacity. So that's just kind of normal life for us at PTC. What's really new, though, is that people are looking at communications assets in a brand new way. And I've never seen this before, and believe me, over 4 decades, I've seen a lot of things. But one of the things that's happening is that people who normally invest in real estate, hotels, mortgages, railroads, pipelines, airports, toll roads, now are looking at digital infrastructure as, oh, that's an asset that's in the same class. We could invest in that. So suddenly, all over the world now, people who own these networks have new potential business partners who may be willing to put huge amounts of money into these assets, and in fact, in many cases, offering to buy 100% of the assets. So digital infra is just a way of incorporating into the core program the kinds of things that we know people want to do when they come to PTC in the first place. So hopefully it's going to work.
No doubt about it. And you talk about the importance of infrastructure and intelligent infrastructure. You know, people like Jeff Deku and the folks at the Autonomy Institute, very involved in making sure that the infrastructure that is built is maximized to the fullest, and that's something that without question attendees for PTC 23 will have the opportunity to learn more about. I'm always curious when we break out the crystal ball and look down the line at what growth will mean, not only for the conference, because that's a huge part, the benefit, quite honestly, for the organization, but the organization itself. And Brian, we'll start with you. Break out that crystal ball and tell us what you see 5-10 years down the road.
That's a great question, Craig. And it's always challenging and exciting for an organization to talk about future. But I think that's what's great about our industry and what's great about PTC is we have this long history of always being that organization that is always at the forefront of what's new, because we're in an exciting industry. This is not telecom, it's not only ICT, but it's technology and it's innovation. And that's what our members are. And so in terms of PTC, you're absolutely right. The conference is only one aspect of it. That's the gathering place for our industry one time a year where the business deals get done. But from an organization standpoint, we need to find our own brand. PTC, the Pacific Telecommunications Council, needs to have its own brand as well. And with that, there's an opportunity to go global. We have 300 member companies now that are actually from all over the world. There's an opportunity to continue to expand that further into Asia, Europe, etc. So going global, that's one opportunity for PTC. The second is content. We've got a lot of great content, not only that PTC generates, but from our partners and members that we just need to distribute. So content's going to be a really, really important play. In addition to that, we've got a great program called PTC Academy that I want to plug. And Gary actually is one of the instructors that typically will volunteer to lead some of those sessions during the PTC Academy. But it's another opportunity to continue to educate the industry. So that's part of our content play. And the third is the annual conference. We can continue to grow it. This is going to be a record year for us, but there are many other industries that we can incorporate into the conference and continue to innovate and evolve it.
Very important, very exciting. Gary, the same question to you. Given the background that you have within the industry, what you have seen by way of growth within PTC over the decades, what do you see 5-10 years down the road?
Well, as you know, because you've been in the cable TV industry for a long time, in fact, I don't even know why we call it cable TV anymore, but that industry alone, if you just look at that one segment of the industry, its business model today is nothing like it was when it started. And that's true for every part of our business, with data centers, the subsea networks, the mobile networks, satellite networks. All of these things are going to evolve in challenging ways, frankly, for the service providers, because what customers want is changing. They're looking for value that's not necessarily I need more bandwidth. Well, yes, they do, but why do you need more bandwidth?
Right.
Oh, but we're streaming television now instead of watching cable TV, right? So the networks themselves have got to change. The data centers now become the key anchoring points for global data. Most of the data that flies around the globe now is going between data centers. And then you would think, well, no, it's got to be coming to me because I'm watching Netflix. Well, before it comes to me, it's got to fly between various data centers around the world that are pre-positioning the content, as you well know. So it's hard to say where we're going to be, but I know it will be different. It's been changing for 40 years, and we're moving up the value chain in terms of the value that we have to bring to customers, and that's both our customers of PTC, the data centers, and the submarine networks, and the satellite networks, and so forth. But then their customers, retail providers, who are then selling to end users like you and I.
The only constant is change.
Change.
Right.
And at light speed. Gentlemen, it has been so great to visit with you today, get a little bit of an insight into PTC 23. Sounds so exciting. I cannot wait to attend a future event there. And by the way, it is what a phenomenal setting, the Hilton Hawaiian Village there in Honolulu. 4 wonderful days, action-packed, information at every turn, and I cannot wait to circle back sometime later in the year and sort of be able to review how that went and how the plans are going for PTC 24.
We'll be glad to have you.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Brian,
Craig.
Gary, absolutely. Thanks so much. On behalf of Brian and Gary, I'm Craig. Thanks for letting us be a part of your day. We'll see you next time right here on the Broadband Universe. So long, everyone.